What if the reason your feet feel cold every single night has nothing to do with your age, and everything to do with one thing you forgot to eat at dinner? Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what that is, and why so many people over 60 have been blaming the wrong thing for years. But first, if you've ever climbed into bed with warm feet and woken up with legs that feel like ice, do something for me right now. Hit the like button. Not because I need it, but because it tells more people struggling with this exact problem that this video exists. Then subscribe, because we cover real, research-backed health information every week, the kind that actually holds up when you look closely at it. Let's get into it. Let's start with what's actually happening inside your body while you sleep, because almost nobody explains this part properly. When you fall asleep, your blood vessels don't just sit there doing nothing. They go to work. Deep inside your arteries, and especially inside the tiny capillaries that reach your fingers and toes, specialized cells called endothelial cells are producing a molecule called nitric oxide. This molecule is one of the most important signaling chemicals in your entire circulatory system. It tells the smooth muscle around your blood vessels to relax. When that muscle relaxes, the vessel widens, and blood can move more freely through it. This process is called vasodilation, and it's the reason blood reaches all the way down into your legs, your feet, and your toes, even the parts of your body furthest from your heart. This isn't a random process. It follows your sleep cycles. Some of the most important vascular repair work your body does happens specifically during deep sleep, when your heart rate slows, your blood pressure naturally drops, and your vessels get the chance to relax and recover from a full day of activity. Think of it like nighttime maintenance on a highway. The traffic clears out, and the repair crews finally have room to work. Here's the problem. As we age, our bodies naturally produce less nitric oxide. This isn't a disease. It's not something that happened because you did something wrong. It's simply a shift that happens in the body over time. This is related to changes in the enzymes responsible for making nitric oxide and changes in oxidative stress levels inside blood vessel walls. Less nitric oxide production means your vessels don't relax and widen as easily. Tighter vessels mean less blood reaching the far edges of your circulatory system. This is exactly why so many people over 60 experience cold feet, heavy legs, tingling toes, or sudden nighttime cramps. For years, this got blamed simply on getting older, as if there was nothing specific happening and nothing that could be understood or supported. But that's not accurate. There is a specific mechanism behind it. There are specific, well-studied ways to support that mechanism through what you eat, especially what you eat in the hours before bed. That's exactly what this video is about. 5 foods that researchers have studied specifically for their effects on circulation. We have a particular focus on nighttime and microvascular blood flow, meaning the smallest blood vessels in your body. These are the ones responsible for warmth in your fingers and toes. Some of these foods will be familiar. One of them, the one that ranks highest on this list, is something almost nobody connects to circulation at all. Before we get into the list, I want to be completely honest with you about something. I'd rather you trust this information than be impressed by it. No single food is a cure. If you're dealing with cold feet, numbness, tingling, or cramps that are severe, that happen constantly, or that seem to be getting worse over time, please talk to a doctor. Those symptoms can sometimes point to real medical conditions that need proper attention. This includes things like peripheral artery disease, deep vein issues, or nerve damage related to diabetes. Nutrition can meaningfully support the systems already working in your body, but it cannot replace a real diagnosis. With that said, let's walk through what the research actually shows. Number 5 on the list is beetroot juice paired with a small amount of citrus. Most people think of beet juice as something athletes drink in the morning for an energy boost before a workout. But if circulation, especially nighttime circulation, is your goal, there's a much smarter way to use it. Beetroots are one of the richest natural sources of dietary nitrates found in any common vegetable. Once you eat or drink them, your body converts those nitrates through a multi-step process. First in your saliva, then in your stomach, into nitric oxide, the very same molecule your blood vessels need in order to relax and widen. This conversion process isn't instant. Research suggests it takes roughly 3 to 4 hours to reach its peak effect in the bloodstream. This is exactly why timing matters so much, and it's something most people get wrong. If you drink beet juice in the early evening, that peak nitric oxide availability lines up almost perfectly with your deepest stages of sleep. This is right when your vascular system is doing its most important repair work. Drink it first thing in the morning instead, and that window may have already closed by the time your body actually needs it at night. Here's where the citrus comes in, and it's a detail that gets left out of most explanations. Vitamin C acts as an antioxidant that helps protect nitric oxide from breaking down too quickly once it's produced in your bloodstream. Pairing a glass of beet juice with a small amount of orange juice, or simply eating half an orange alongside it, may help. This helps extend how long that nitric oxide stays active through the night, rather than fading out within an hour or two. A reasonable way to try this is a small glass of pure, unsweetened beetroot juice with half an orange, roughly 2 to 3 hours before bed. Try this a few evenings a week, rather than every single night. One small detail worth knowing. Daily use of antibacterial mouthwash can reduce the population of bacteria on your tongue. These bacteria are actually responsible for the first step of nitrate conversion. If you use mouthwash regularly and you're trying this approach, it's worth mentioning to your dentist. Number 4 is a food that might sound completely unfamiliar for a list like this: spirulina. Spirulina is a blue-green algae, and I understand if that sounds strange sitting next to beetroot and orange juice, but stay with me, because the research behind it is genuinely worth understanding. The key compound responsible for its effects is called phycocyanin, the pigment that gives spirulina its unusual blue-green color. In early clinical research, phycocyanin has shown the ability to reduce oxidative stress specifically inside blood vessel tissue. Some studies suggest it may support the enzyme responsible for nitric oxide production within artery walls. A small clinical trial looking at spirulina supplementation found measurable improvements in flow-mediated dilation. This is essentially a measurement of how well blood vessels expand in response to increased blood flow, a commonly used marker of vascular health. It's important to be upfront that this research is still limited in scale, so spirulina shouldn't be treated as a guaranteed fix. But as a low-risk food with a genuinely interesting research trail behind it, it's worth understanding. If you do want to try it, a reasonable approach is starting with a very small amount, something like half a teaspoon. Stir it into warm broth or small smoothie roughly 90 minutes before bed. Start low and increase slowly over time, rather than jumping in with a large amount right away. Buy from a brand that independently tests for heavy metal contamination, since spirulina quality varies significantly between producers. And if you take medication that suppresses your immune system, check with your doctor first, since spirulina may interact with those medications. We're coming up on the first big chunk of this video, so let me pause here for a second. If you're the kind of person who actually reads ingredient labels and wants real information instead of hype, you're exactly who this channel is made for. Drop a comment right now with the number 5, just the number, so I know how many of you are actually following along this closely. It genuinely helps me understand who's watching and what to cover next. Number 3 is a combination that might sound unusual paired together: black sesame seeds and arugula. Arugula happens to be one of the highest nitrate vegetables ever studied in published research. It competes gram for gram with beetroot itself, something most people have no idea about because arugula gets treated as a garnish. Those nitrates follow the same conversion pathway into nitric oxide, giving you yet another natural food-based route toward vascular relaxation. Black sesame seeds bring something different to the table entirely. They contain unique compounds called sesamin and sesamolin. These are lignans that researchers have studied for their interaction with enzymes involved in nitric oxide metabolism. Small trials involving adults with mildly elevated blood pressure have shown meaningful reductions in blood pressure readings over consistent use. Black sesame is also a strong natural source of vitamin E and magnesium. Both of these nutrients show up repeatedly across vascular health research as supportive of healthy blood vessel function. A simple, practical way to include this combination is a cup of arugula and a tablespoon of ground black sesame seeds. Add a light olive oil dressing and eat it roughly 2 hours before bed, a few evenings a week. The olive oil isn't just there for flavor. It actually helps your body absorb the fat-soluble compounds in the sesame seeds more effectively. Let's talk for a moment about why consistency matters so much here, because this is where most people give up too early. Vascular tissue doesn't change overnight, and it doesn't change because of one good meal. The lining of your blood vessels, called the endothelium, is constantly exposed to what's circulating in your bloodstream. When you regularly provide it with nitrates, antioxidants, and supportive nutrients over weeks, that tissue gradually becomes more responsive. It becomes more capable of producing nitric oxide efficiently, and better at relaxing and dilating when it needs to. This is a slow, cumulative process, similar to how exercise gradually builds strength rather than one workout instantly building muscle. Expecting a single glass of beet juice to transform your circulation overnight misunderstands how the body actually works. It's one of the biggest reasons people try something once, feel nothing dramatic, and give up before the real changes even have a chance to begin. We're now past the halfway point of this video, so let's pause again, but this time I want to do something different. Instead of asking you to like or subscribe, I want you to think of one person in your life who complains about cold feet. Think of someone who mentions cold feet or restless legs almost every time you talk to them. Maybe a parent, a sibling, or a friend from your walking group. Send them this video right now before you forget. Sometimes the people who need this information the most are the ones who will never go looking for it on their own. A 5-second share from you might be the reason they finally understand what's actually happening in their body. Number 2 is tart cherry juice, and this one has a genuinely unique 2-part effect that separates it from everything else on this list. Tart cherries, particularly the Montmorency variety, are rich in anthocyanins, the deep red pigments responsible for their color. A study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that older adults who consumed this juice showed meaningful reductions in systolic blood pressure. Researchers linked this effect directly to how anthocyanins influence the cells lining the blood vessels, supporting healthier endothelial function over time. But here's what makes tart cherry genuinely different from beetroot, spirulina, or sesame. Tart cherries naturally contain small amounts of melatonin, the hormone your body relies on to regulate its sleep cycle. And remember what we talked about earlier, that your deepest, most important vascular repair work happens specifically during deep sleep. So tart cherry juice may actually be working on two fronts at once. It supports your blood vessels directly through its anthocyanin content. And it may help you spend more time in the deep sleep stages where your vascular system does its most significant repair work. That combination, supporting the tissue and extending the repair window at the same time, is genuinely rare among foods. A reasonable way to include this is 4 to 6 ounces of unsweetened tart cherry juice, roughly 45 minutes to an hour before bed. Try this several nights a week. One important caution here, tart cherry juice can modestly lower blood pressure on its own. If you're currently taking blood pressure medication, it's worth mentioning this addition to your doctor. The combined effect could be stronger than either one alone. And now we arrive at number 1, the food that surprised researchers the most. They specifically studied the smallest blood vessels in the body, the capillaries responsible for delivering blood all the way out to your fingertips and toes. It's cranberry. Most people only know cranberries for one thing, urinary tract health. Because of that single reputation, almost everything else about this fruit goes completely unnoticed. But when researchers studied flow-mediated dilation, they found real, measurable improvements in adults who consumed cranberry products consistently. Cranberries contain a specific and somewhat unique combination of compounds, including proanthocyanidins, quercetin, and vitamin C. These appear to support the health of the endothelium, the delicate single-cell layer lining every blood vessel in your entire body. What makes cranberry particularly interesting is that its effects seem to be especially pronounced in the smallest vessels of the circulatory system. Exactly the vessels responsible for warmth and sensation in your fingers and toes. These are the exact areas where people over 60 tend to notice circulation problems first. This is why cranberry earns the top spot on this list. It doesn't just support circulation in general. It appears to target precisely the part of the vascular system where symptoms like cold feet and numb toes actually originate. A simple way to include this is 2 tablespoons of unsweetened dried cranberries with your evening meal. Alternatively, try 4 ounces of unsweetened cranberry juice. Read every label carefully here, because this is where most people accidentally sabotage themselves. The vast majority of commercial cranberry products, cranberry cocktail and sweetened dried cranberries, are loaded with added sugar. That sugar can work directly against the vascular benefits you're trying to get in the first place. Unsweetened isn't a minor preference here, it's genuinely the entire point. Now let's talk honestly about the mistakes that quietly undo all of this, because I've seen people follow the right ideas and still get no results. The first mistake is timing. Eating these foods in the morning, then expecting results by that same evening, misunderstands the biology. Nitrate conversion into nitric oxide takes hours to reach its peak. If your goal is supporting circulation while you sleep, these foods genuinely need to be eaten in the evening. The second mistake is sugar, and this one trips up more people than any other. Nearly every commercial version of these foods comes loaded with added sugar. That sugar can actively undermine endothelial function. It essentially cancels out the benefit before it has a chance to work. Unsweetened versions matter far more than most people ever realize. The third mistake is inconsistency. Every study behind these foods measured results over weeks, sometimes months. Results were never seen over a single day or a single serving. Vascular tissue changes slowly through repeated exposure. 1 glass of beet juice on one evening will tell you absolutely nothing meaningful. It's the routine, repeated night after night, week after week, that actually produces change. The fourth mistake is expecting one single food to solve everything on its own. These 5 foods work through different complementary mechanisms inside the body. Some boost nitric oxide production directly. Some protect that nitric oxide from breaking down too quickly. Some support the blood vessel lining itself through antioxidant activity. Some extend your deep sleep, giving your body more time to actually use what you've given it. Relying on just one of these, while ignoring the others, means missing most of the potential benefit available to you. Let's answer a few questions that come up constantly whenever this topic gets discussed. Can you use these foods alongside blood pressure medication? Generally, yes, but with real awareness. Beet juice and tart cherry juice in particular may modestly lower blood pressure on their own. Combined with medication that does the same thing, that effect could add up more than expected. This isn't a reason to avoid these foods. It's simply a reason to mention what you're adding to your routine to your doctor. How long before you might actually notice something? Most of the research behind these foods showed measurable, objective changes after 4 to 8 weeks of consistent use. Some people report noticing subtle shifts sooner, like slightly less heaviness in their legs by morning. Others notice slightly fewer nights interrupted by cramping, but the real vascular changes take time to build. Patience isn't optional here. It's actually part of how the biology works. Is it safe to combine all 5 foods in a single evening? Technically, yes, for most people, but it's not necessary, and it's not how most people successfully build a lasting habit. Starting with 2 or 3 that feel manageable and realistic for your life tends to work far better. Then build from there once they become automatic, rather than trying to overhaul your entire evening routine overnight. Here's a simple way to bring everything together into one evening routine you could actually follow. With your dinner, have 2 tablespoons of unsweetened dried cranberries, or 4 ounces of unsweetened cranberry juice. 2 to 3 hours before bed, have either a small glass of beetroot juice with half an orange, or on alternating evenings, a cup of arugula with a tablespoon of ground black sesame and a light olive oil dressing. About 90 minutes before bed, if you choose to include it, have a small amount of spirulina stirred into warm broth. And 45 minutes to an hour before bed, drink 4 ounces of unsweetened tart cherry juice. You don't need to do all 5 every single night. Trying to do that from day one is a common reason people quit. Start with 2 that feel realistic given your schedule and your grocery budget. Build the habit until it feels automatic. The research behind these foods isn't about one perfect, flawless evening. It's about steady, repeated habits. Let's bring this all together one final time. Number 5, beetroot juice with orange, supporting nitric oxide production during deep sleep. Number 4, spirulina, with early research pointing toward better endothelial function. Number 3, black sesame seeds with arugula. Number 2, tart cherry juice, offering a rare dual benefit of blood pressure support and restorative sleep. And number 1, cranberries, targeting the smallest blood vessels in your entire body. None of this replaces an honest conversation with your doctor, especially if cold feet or numbness have become regular parts of your life. Please don't treat this video as a substitute for that conversation. But small, well-timed choices really can make a difference. That difference compounds the longer you stick with it. If you've made it all the way to this point, you're clearly someone who cares about understanding your own body. That already puts you ahead of most people watching health content online today. So here's what I'd ask of you. Pick just one thing from everything we covered today, just one, and commit to trying it consistently for the next few weeks. Not because it's a miracle, but because consistency determines whether any of this works for you. Tell me in the comments how long you've been dealing with cold feet, and which of these foods you're planning to try first. I read every single comment, and I genuinely want to know how many of you are facing this exact same thing right now. If this video helped you understand something new about your own body today, that's why I make these videos. Thank you for watching.